fat woman.
The one in the raincoat.
You remember the first time you watched Tootsie? Back when movies made you laugh, back when sitting in a theater with your girlfriends felt like church, a place where you could breathe, laugh, cry, and feel seen. Everyone remembers the jokes, the dress, the wig, the chaos. But what most people don't know is how much real pain, real vulnerability, and real solidarity shaped the film behind the scenes. Jessica Lange was exhausted as a new mother. Terry Garr was fighting for confidence in an industry that rarely gave women permission to be unsure. Dustin Hoffman was confronting painful truths about how the world treated women, including his own daughter. And Sydney Pollack, directing the film, struggled to balance humor with the emotional honesty the cast demanded. If Tootsie ever made you feel something tender, something about friendship, about respect, about how hard women fight to be heard, you weren't imagining it. The set was full of those feelings too. These are 20 true, deeply human facts about Tootsie, 1982. Not gossip, not myths, just the real emotional story behind a comedy that meant more than anyone expected. Fact number 1. One of the most famous behind-the-scenes truths is how Tootsie changed Dustin Hoffman's view of women. In multiple interviews, including with the American Film Institute, Hoffman said the makeup team transformed him into Dorothy, and he expected to look beautiful. When he didn't, he cried, not as an actor, as a man realizing how often women were dismissed because of appearance. This was the moment he said he understood, in his words, how many women I had not taken seriously. Back when women were judged more harshly for everything, weight, age, beauty, this moment wasn't just cosmetic. It was emotional. Hoffman said it forced him to apologize to his wife for years of unconscious bias. The whole cast and crew saw how shaken he was. It wasn't a gag. It was a man seeing the world through women's eyes for the first time. Fact number 2. Jessica Lange filmed Tootsie while navigating early motherhood. In interviews, including her conversation with the New York Times, she said she was exhausted and emotionally raw. You can see it in her performance, those soft, almost bruised moments when Julie looks down before speaking. Those weren't rehearsed. Lange later said, "I was tired all the time. It added something I didn't expect." Back when women were expected to juggle everything, career, caregiving, composure, Lange's fatigue gave her character a realness women recognized instantly. She wasn't made up to perfection. She wasn't trying to be invincible. She was just showing up the way women always have. Fact number 3. Bill Murray had a small role, but he became the emotional anchor for the cast. According to Sydney Pollack, Murray was the pressure valve, not loud, just present. He would quietly check in on Jessica Lange between takes, sensing when she needed space or a soft joke. Lange later said Murray had an emotional gentleness she depended on during the shoot. Fact number 4. Terry Garr, who played Sandy, was open about how insecure she felt during filming. In interviews and her memoir, she said she constantly feared being overshadowed by the bigger stars. She was used to being cast for her comedic timing, not for emotional complexity, and she worried she wouldn't be taken seriously. Jessica Lange, already an Oscar-winning dramatic actress by then, sensed this. According to Garr, Lange gave her subtle support, small smiles when scenes were tense, quiet encouragement in rehearsals, reminding her that Sandy was supposed to feel off balance and vulnerable. "Jessica grounded me," Garr said later. Back when actresses were often pitted against each other, these women created a soft landing for one another, an emotional closeness audiences could feel even if they didn't see it directly. Fact number 5. Sydney Pollack said the set was filled with the energy of people trying to say something real about gender, a rare thing for a mainstream film in the early 80s. He later admitted he hadn't expected the emotional reactions from women who worked on the crew. It wasn't just a comedy for them, he said. Fact number 6. In one interview with CBC, Hoffman admitted that many of Dorothy's emotional reactions weren't acting. He said he'd come home each night overwhelmed, angry, sad, confused, because playing a woman was changing him. During one scene where Dorothy is dismissed by a male character, Hoffman's eyes filled with tears before the camera rolled. Pollock kept it. Those weren't scripted tears. Back when women were told to stop being so emotional, here was a male actor discovering those emotions were justified. Fact number 7. Jessica Lange and Dustin Hoffman formed a surprising friendship. Lange said in interviews that although Hoffman could be intense, she felt protective of him when he was in Dorothy's wardrobe and makeup. Crew members said they'd catch Lange straightening his wig or touching up his lipstick before takes, not because she had to, but because she knew how vulnerable he felt. Back when women instinctively mothered and protected the people around them, even when they were hurting themselves, Lange's instinctive care softened the entire set. Fact number 8. Sidney Pollack admitted he originally wanted Tootsie to be broader and less emotional, but the actresses, especially Lange and Gar, kept pushing for honesty. Lange told him Julie needed quiet moments of disappointment and self-doubt because women live inside those pauses. Gar asked for more scenes that showed Sandy struggling with self-worth. Pollack later said he realized the women were right, that the emotional moments made the comedy land better because it felt real. Back when female actors often had to fight just to be heard, this was one of those rare sets where their instincts reshaped the film. Fact number 9. Jessica Lange's infant daughter was often nearby during production. Crew members recalled seeing Lange rocking her quietly between takes. Lange said this softened her performance. She was constantly thinking about being gentle. Fact number 10. Dabney Coleman, who played the arrogant Ron, said in interviews that Hoffman was extremely protective of the actresses during scenes where Ron belittles or objectifies women. Coleman said Hoffman would quietly check in with Lange and Gar before takes. Are you comfortable with this? Want anything changed? Back when male allies were scarce in Hollywood, these small acts mattered. They made the women feel safe in scenes meant to expose sexism, not recreate it. Fact number 11. One of the most emotional documented facts comes from Hoffman himself. He said the real breakthrough moment, the thing that made him commit to the emotional honesty of the film, was thinking about his daughter. During a makeup test, he realized he would never cast this woman, Dorothy, in a film because she wasn't beautiful. He felt sick. He said he imagined his daughter growing up in a world that dismissed women because they weren't beautiful enough. He cried in front of the makeup team. He later said, "That was when I understood what Tootsie had to be about." Back when daughters were growing up in a world telling them they weren't enough, Hoffman wanted to make a film that said otherwise, even through comedy. Fact sucker 12. Gar insisted Sandy wasn't crazy. She was insecure because the world made her insecure. She fought to keep the moment where Sandy says she feels unattractive because real women felt that way. Pollack agreed. Fact 113. When Lange won the Oscar for Tootsie, she briefly referenced how the role let her play softness. At the time, many didn't understand the comment. Years later, Lange explained that she had felt emotionally fragile during filming and that Julie's vulnerability mirrored her own. Back when women weren't encouraged to admit exhaustion or softness, Lange's performance became a kind of confession. Fact 14. According to Pollack, the scene where Dorothy comforts Julie at the apartment bench included an unscripted moment where Lange leaned her head into Hoffman's shoulder. It wasn't planned. She just felt safe with him. Pollack said the tenderness of that moment guided how he edited the entire scene. Fact 15. Murray improvised most of his lines, but he also defended the film's emotional core. When studio executives asked for more slapstick, Murray told Pollack, "It's not about the dress, it's about the feeling." Fact 16. Hoffman said that Tootsie broke him emotionally. The daily experience of being dismissed, ignored, or patronized while dressed as Dorothy left him shaken. He told Inside the Actor's Studio that he would go home feeling less than, and that it gave him a small taste of what women live with all the time. He didn't feel proud. He felt ashamed. Back when women weren't heard about this kind of emotional fatigue, this was one film where a man finally listened. Fact number 17. Crew members reported that Lange, Gar, and the female extras often talked between takes about the sexism in the industry. It wasn't gossip, it was solidarity. They said the film allowed them to say the quiet parts out loud. Fact Narar 18. Pollock later admitted he wished he'd expanded Julie and Sandy's arcs. He said, "They had more to say than we let them say." Back when female characters were often limited, even directors recognized, in hindsight, how much more emotional truth women could have brought. Fact the 19. The original script had a more comedic ending, but Hoffman and Lange pushed for something softer, something about forgiveness, not mockery. They wanted Julie to walk away with her dignity intact. Lange said, "It needed to feel like a woman choosing her own pace." Back when endings rarely centered female agency, this small change mattered. Fact 20. Years later, Hoffman said he remains most proud of Tootsie, not because of its jokes, but because it helped men understand women just a little better. Jessica Lange said she still gets approached by women who say Julie reminded them of themselves when they were young, tired, gentle, trying their best. Back when movies were communal experiences, Tootsie gave women room to laugh at the world and feel seen by it. The cast felt that too. Tootsie wasn't supposed to be profound. It wasn't supposed to be emotional, but it became both, because the people making it were carrying their own fears, their own exhaustion, their own tenderness into every scene. Jessica Lange holding herself together as a new mother, Terry Garr fighting to believe she mattered, Dustin Hoffman confronting his own blind spots and weeping at what he learned, Bill Murray grounding the set with quiet kindness, women creating small circles of warmth on a male-dominated set. Back when movies made space for women to feel things without apology, Tootsie reminded us that dignity, softness, and humor could exist together. That women deserved respect, that vulnerability isn't weakness, that some lessons take decades to understand. If you still tear up at the final scene, if Julie walking away slowly still says something to the woman you were or the woman you still are, you're not silly. You're not alone. You're remembering a film built on real emotional truth and honoring the women who brought that truth to life.